All right, let's get into some NFL wildcard reaction. Triple header here on Sunday, and the divisional round time slots are set. Obviously, we got Rams, Vikings tomorrow night. The winner of that game will face the Philadelphia Eagles, but we'll talk about all of it as we progress throughout this video as we talk about the first round of the playoffs. My name is Harrison Graham. Today is another episode of Four Verts coming at you here where we cover NFL and college football. We'll react to today's triple header, and the first domino has fallen in the 2025 coaching carousel. But perfect time to subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you hit that sub button. We did a watch party earlier today for Packers-Eagles. Appreciate everybody who tuned in for that. We'll have reaction to Rams-Vikings tomorrow night. I think also during the day tomorrow, I'm going to do an NFL head coach predictions after the Patriots announced that they're hiring Mike Vrabel, so we'll have predictions for the other open jobs. So lock us in. We will have that coming at you. All right, let's go in reverse order with the game that just ended. Commanders 23, Bucks 20. I picked Washington. I liked this as my upset pick of the weekend. Now, there ended up being a couple as Houston won as a home dog as well. But, I thought these teams were fairly even, and I think Dan Quinn has done a little bit of a better job with his defense this year than Todd Bowles has done with his. Now, this is one of those weird games where you look at Baker and the Bucs offensive numbers, like very efficient. They just didn't have the ball, and they made a couple of critical mistakes. Baker had the bad fumble in the fourth quarter where he didn't. He had the poor exchange on the jet sweep, and then they had a little goofy mistimed snap or something when it's 3rd and inches at like the Washington 20 with 4 minutes left, and they don't snap it on time. The offensive line doesn't think the play has started, and it gets blown up for a loss of 4. So they have to kick a field goal to tie it at 20 instead of potentially take the lead. And then Jayden Daniels does it again, drives them down, gets into field goal range, had a critical 3rd down kind of bootleg where he was able to just slip past Kalijah Kancey, gave him a little stiff arm, and dove for the first down, and they kicked the field goal, and Zane Gonzalez doinked it in off the right upright. Tarico was saying on the call, I didn't even realize this, since the start of training camp, the Commanders have had 6 kickers, so a 37-yarder wasn't a gimme, but he doinked it in. He also made a 52-yarder earlier, so he was pretty clutch tonight. What a year for the Commanders. I mean, what can you say? Anything they get at this point is beyond gravy. I mean, making the playoffs, huge success. Winning a road playoff game, massive success. If they're even competitive in Detroit next week, it'll be an absolute unbelievable season for Washington, which it already has been. They've just been clutch. I think Jayden Daniels has 7 game-winning drives. I don't know what their record in one-score games is, but it's very good. You wonder if that kind of flips next year. Typically, that evens out kind of year over year. Like, I remember a couple years ago, Minnesota won 13 games, and they were, I think, 11-1 in one-score games. Just one of those freaky years. But right now, they're riding the high, baby, and they get to let it rip at Detroit next week. And look, Detroit's going to be a healthy favorite in that game, but their defense is still banged up, and it's indoors with Jayden Daniels and that Commanders offense. Like, I expect Washington to score some points in that game. So they're going to have a great opportunity. What a season. What a win. They're still going. And quite frankly, a pretty disappointing ending for Baker Mayfield. Like I said, the 2 big mistakes in the fourth quarter, the botched jet sweep and the botched timing of the snap on 3rd and inches, which forces them to kick the field goal. I mean, just 2 critical mistakes. Because the fumble was inside their own like 25, and they end up scoring a touchdown on a 4th and 2 to give up the lead. So they should have had the ball up 17-13, give up 7 there, and instead of potentially getting 7 back, they settle for 3. It's just a massive point swing. It really, really is. And in a game like that, where possessions were kind of limited, especially for Tampa, it was going to come down to like a handful of plays. And it seemed like Washington made those plays. And in the playoffs, a lot of the time, that's the difference. Hadn't been a lot of close games this weekend. Got one here, and Washington moves on. So congrats to the Commanders. Jayden Daniels, absolutely deserving the Rookie of the Year. I had someone DM me like, man, the Bears should have drafted Jayden. We'll see. I mean, through one season, he's been the rest rookie quarterback. But I think we learned last year, and obviously C.J. Stroud just bounced back, had a nice playoff game. But let's not anoint guys too early. And by the way, this isn't the time to like be like this guy ranks here, this guy ranks there. Like it's the playoffs, man. Let's just evaluate what's happening right now. And right now, Jayden Daniels is kicking ass, and he's taking names, and he's making plays. And the Commanders are a hell of a storyline. So good for them. It'll be interesting to see if Cliff Kingsbury takes some head coaching interviews. There's been mixed reporting on that, but he's done a great job, man. And Dan Quinn, what a hire by the Commanders. What an absolute home run that looks like so far. All right, Eagles 22, Packers 10. Eventually, Saquon and Philly's offensive line wore down Green Bay. That's kind of their style. They kind of let Green Bay hang around too long. Like it was 10-0 forever, and then it was 10-3, and then it was 16-10, and you're just like, you've dominated this game, and it's a one-score game entering the fourth quarter, but Saquon ripped a couple runs, and they kicked a couple field goals from 16-10 to ice it away. And I got to say, I know it's only his second year as a starter, but he's been in the league 5 years now, and they just paid him $50 million. And I do think we can judge guys differently once they've been paid. Jordan Love was absolutely horrendous. And I get it. Christian Watson's out. Jayden Reed got banged up. Like they've got some injuries. He's been bad for like a month, though. I mean, last year, he got paid because of how he finished the season. The second half of the year, he played like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Last 6 weeks of this year, I mean, did he even play like a starter? I thought he was atrocious today. 3 picks, could have been 5, should have for sure been 4. First pass of the game, he airmails a crossing route by 10 yards, and this safety drops the pick. I thought, I'll be honest, I thought the Packers' defense was pretty good for most of the game. I mean, they gave Love in the offense chance after chance after chance. If I'm Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love's got to be such an agitating player to coach, because at times he looks like peak Aaron Rodgers, and at other times you're like, this guy's unplayable. I mean, he can't. I mean, there was a play, was it a 3rd or 4th down? It was just like a 4-yard out route where he throws the ball high and behind the guy, and he catches it, and his heel lands out of bounds, and you're just going, dude, just it's a 4-yard pass, dude. Like, just put it on him. So he was really bad. To be honest, I didn't think Jalen Hurts was very good coming off the concussion. Maybe he works off some of those cobwebs for next week now, but they're going to need more out of him. I think the winner of Rams-Vikings, who will play Philadelphia next week in the Sunday afternoon slot, we'll talk about the divisional schedule in a little bit. I think the winner of that game is going to be feeling fairly confident going into Lincoln Financial Field. I mean, despite doing nothing offensively for most of the day, Green Bay had a chance in the fourth quarter. And that's, I'm not going to say it's disturbing if you're Philadelphia, because their defense was good and they were able to run the ball, especially late. But I don't think the way they played today is winning the NFC. I'm not sure it's winning next week. So they're going to have to raise their level. I get it. Saquon rested last week. Hurts has been out a couple of weeks. Maybe this was just a knock the rust off type of game, but that game was much closer than it should have been. I mean, this felt like a 35-10 game. It really did. And Green Bay kind of goes into the offseason just weird, right? Like last year, they felt great about themselves. Like it sucked for them when Jordan Love threw that ridiculous pick to lose against the Niners, but you're like, all right, we have our quarterback. He played tremendous down the stretch. No one even expected us to be in the playoffs. Arrow pointing up. This year, they start 10-3 or whatever it is. They lose 4 out of 6 to end the year, and Love's playing like shit. I think they need to go get a true number 1 receiver. Like, do you try to trade for Tyreek Hill if you're the Packers? Do you throw money at T. Higgins if he doesn't get re-signed? They have a lot of good complementary pieces, but they don't have that true number 1. And I think you kind of saw that, because when you have a struggling quarterback, especially a young one, you need that guy you can just throw the ball to. They have, again, a lot of very good players. They don't have that, like, hey, I just need to give you a chance to go make a play for me. They don't really have that guy. So that might be an area to address. But it's not like you're changing quarterbacks. This contract just started, so you kind of just have to hope he gets more consistent, because he is the definition of inconsistent, Jordan Love. At times, top 5 guy. At other times, fringe starter. I mean, it is that all over the map for this guy. So Eagles move on. They will face the winner of the Rams and the Vikings, who play tomorrow night. Okay, Bills 31, Broncos 7. It was 7-0 Denver. Good scripted drive by Sean Payton. Bo Nix hits the deep ball to Troy Franklin. Everybody's freaking out. And then they basically did nothing the rest of the game. It was 10-7 at halftime. Denver was pulling out all the stops in the first half. Some really good scripted plays. They fake a punt and get it. I remember thinking at halftime, I was like, they're going to get blown out in the second half. I don't think Denver, now that the script is gone and Bo Nix just has to figure it out in his first playoff game on the road, is going to do much. And they didn't score a point. Josh Allen went nuclear in the second half. And now we get what we were hoping for. Bills, Ravens, in Buffalo next Sunday night, 6:30 Eastern. That scene, that atmosphere, that game has the potential to be an all-time great. Now, sometimes when we get these matchups and we hype them up and they don't live up to them, sometimes they do. Chiefs-Bills in the divisional round a few years ago, the famous 13-second game where Mahomes forced overtime and they ultimately won it. One of the greatest games I have ever seen at any level, football, whatever sport. It was unbelievable. I think this game could be that level. I mean, Lamar and Josh have never played each other in the playoffs. I kind of jokingly said it in the Chat Sports office earlier, like, forget the voters, forget the ballots that were submitted for MVP. Doesn't matter. Whoever wins next week, you're the MVP. That's what I say, because I think you could make strong arguments for both. Whoever wins Bills-Ravens next week in Buffalo gets the MVP, in my opinion. What a game that is going to be. I can't wait for it. It's going to be remarkable. Obviously, Josh Allen's been a more consistent playoff performer, but Lamar's had easily the best year of his career. Was unstoppable last night against Pittsburgh. Josh was great today. I just can't wait, man. I can't wait. Not much analysis from this game. It was pretty one-sided, especially in the second half. If you're Denver, this is kind of like, hey, we're just happy to be here. Our Vegas over-under was 5.5 wins. Hey, we'll take the playoff experience and add to the roster this offseason once Russell Wilson's dead cap hit isn't quite as large next year. Okay, before we get out of here, excuse me. God, I'm just battling this nasty cough, so bear with me. First domino in the coaching search has fallen. Mike Vrabel has been hired by the Patriots. Pretty obvious this is where this was going. So that thing is done. Now you got 5 other openings currently. We'll see what happens with Dallas. Still no resolution to Mike McCarthy. Feels like a Monday or Tuesday thing. We'll get some clarity there from Jerry and his crew, because his contract expires on Tuesday. So if he doesn't have a new contract by the 14th, I think he's going to try to talk to other teams. I mean, the Bears already requested him, which Dallas denied, but they can't block it after the 14th. So keep an eye on that. But obviously, Bears, Saints, Jets, Raiders. Sounds like Bears and Raiders for Ben Johnson. Jaguars still looking for a coach with Trent Baalke there. Doesn't sound like they're going to get Ben Johnson, but this thing is going to start to heat up. I do think there's going to be a little bit of a gap here for these other jobs, because Ben Johnson feels like the next big domino to fall, and as long as Detroit's in it, that's not going to be official. So stay tuned for all of that. But Vrabel to New England, good fit. He knows the building. He knows the crafts. Probably going to bring Josh McDaniels with him, get him back in New England as well to run the offense and help develop Drake May. And we'll see if they hit the ground running. They got a lot of work to do with that roster, but over $100 million in cap space, obviously good draft capital. So, a lot of holes to fill, but I think within a couple of years, they could be pretty interesting if they hit on some draft picks. So kudos to Vrabel. He gets to head home and probably got a fat contract as well. All right, that's going to do it for 4 Verts. My voice is dead. I need sleep. Join us tomorrow. We'll have more coverage here. NFL head coach predictions, and I'll react to the final wildcard game, Rams versus Vikings. My name is Harrison Graham. Subscribe, and we'll see you soon.